Stephen A. Smith didn't mince words when he exposed the real numbers behind Caitlin Clark's Nike deal. What was once whispered as a multi-million-dollar endorsement is now confirmed to be a staggering $150 million just for her signature shoe. That figure alone instantly reshapes the financial landscape of women's basketball. It doesn't just break records, it obliterates them. But it's not just the money, it's what the money means. Smith's warning is clear. Clark's earning power puts her on a plane so far above the rest of the WNBA that it risks creating serious fractures inside the league. When one player becomes bigger than the system, the balance of power starts to tip, and not everyone's going to like it. That balance is already being tested. If you're here for the real story and not the filtered version, subscribe. And if you're sticking around for the next meltdown, you better definitely subscribe. The Christmas Day Nike commercial, which paired Clark with Travis Scott and the Kelsey brothers but excluded every WNBA veteran, signals a strategic shift. Nike's not selling women's basketball. They're selling Caitlin Clark. Her debut shoe isn't just a product. It's the centerpiece of a crossover marketing blitz aimed far beyond sports. By isolating Clark as a solo brand, Nike is positioning her like Jordan, not Taurasi. This isn't just about basketball anymore. It's a calculated play to make her a household name in fashion, culture, and entertainment. And that's the threat. Clark's influence is growing so fast, it may leave the league scrambling to keep up. Caitlin Clark's rise hasn't just been historic. It's completely changed the landscape of women's basketball. And just when people thought they'd seen it all, Stephen A. Smith took to the air and dropped a bombshell that sent shockwaves across the sports world. The Nike deal? It's not just big. It might be $150 million big. That number was never confirmed by Nike, but Smith's reporting was clear. Caitlin's signature shoe line alone could eclipse anything the WNBA has seen in decades. This isn't just a sneaker deal. It's a seismic shift. Stephen A. warned that Clark's growing power might be too much for the WNBA to contain. He said it flat out. She might be bigger than the league itself. And the money proves it. $150 million for one shoe line? That figure dwarfs not only Clark's rookie salary, but the payrolls of entire WNBA teams. It's not hard to understand why some players, and maybe even some execs, are feeling the pressure. Smith didn't mince words. He said jealousy is already brewing in locker rooms. He predicted tension between Clark's rapidly expanding brand and a league still fighting for mainstream attention. Clark is breaking through that wall. She's the crossover star the WNBA has waited for, but the league doesn't fully control her, and that's the problem. Smith's take was that this kind of deal puts Clark in a completely different tax bracket, both financially and culturally. He compared her rise to the early days of LeBron or Jordan. Except this time, the backdrop is a league that has never dealt with this level of global attention for one player. Smith's tone was part admiration, part warning. The league needs to be careful, or it risks getting swallowed by the very star it helped elevate. When the Nike commercial dropped on Christmas Day, the reaction was immediate. It wasn't just the visuals. It was the message. Clark was front and center, flanked by Travis Scott and the Kelsey brothers. Big names, big faces, but missing from a frame? Any veteran WNBA players. No nods to the legends. No shots of team jerseys or league branding. Nike wasn't selling women's basketball. They were selling Caitlin Clark. This wasn't subtle. The symbolism was sharp. The Kelsey brothers brought in the NFL audience. Travis Scott added pop culture weight, and Clark stood among them, not behind them. Nike knew exactly what they were doing. They didn't need the league to validate her. She's not just part of the WNBA. She's a standalone brand now. The signature shoe isn't just another product line. It's a statement. A new CC logo is set to launch in 2026, and the anticipation is already drawing comparisons to the original Air Jordan drop. Nike's strategy is deliberate. Build suspense, delay the release, and let the hype cook. They're betting that Clark's appeal will stretch far beyond basketball courts. And it's working. She's becoming a lifestyle figure. That logo? It might end up on everything from hoodies to cereal boxes. It's not about team pride or league loyalty. It's about one athlete becoming bigger than the sport. Nike's not hiding it. They're aiming for Clark to break through every market: sportswear, culture, entertainment, you name it. The Air Jordan comparison isn't just hype, it's strategy. Nike's rollout for Clark is mirroring the formula that made Jordan a global icon. Delay the shoe, build the mystery, drop a cultural event, not just a product. Michael Jordan became more than an athlete through this model. LeBron followed it. Now it's Clark's turn. But here's the key difference. Jordan launched within the NBA's golden era. Clark is stepping into a league still searching for financial stability. And that's where the tension starts. The WNBA depends on collective momentum. Clark's rise pulls that spotlight toward one figure and away from everyone else. It's great for business, but it's risky for you. Clark hasn't publicly addressed the exact value of her deal, but the numbers are speaking loud enough. A $150 million shoe deal would make her one of the highest-paid female athletes in history, not just in basketball, in any sport, and all before she's played a full season as a pro. Nike's investment is a gamble, but it's calculated. They're not paying for what she's done. They're betting on what she will become. The lifestyle branding, the celebrity endorsements, the viral presence, it's all built to bypass traditional marketing and go straight for mainstream relevance. And it's happening faster than anyone expected. The WNBA now faces a dilemma it's never seen before. Clark brings ratings, revenue, and relevance, but that spotlight can feel like a searchlight when it leaves others in shadows. Some veteran players have expressed frustration, off the record or in coded comments, about how the league appears to revolve around one rookie. The frustration is understandable. The league was built by players who never got this level of promotion or backing. Many of those players are black women who carried the WNBA for years without major endorsement deals or national commercials. Clark's rise has reopened conversations about privilege, race, and who gets to be the face of the movement. Stephen A. addressed that tension directly. He acknowledged the racial undertones, but he leaned on business logic. His point was blunt. Clark's visibility brings more money for everyone. Higher salaries, bigger TV deals, more sponsorships. Smith argued that gatekeeping her stardom would only hurt the league in the long run. But even he admitted that resentment is real. When one player gets treated like a franchise, others start to wonder where they stand, especially if the league starts changing rules, media access, or even officiating to protect its new golden goose. Smith warned that the league might overcorrect, tightening fouls, cutting court time, or trying to reassert authority in ways that feel punitive. There's also the visual shift. Clark is no longer primarily seen in a team jersey. Her image is being curated through Nike's lens. Sleek campaigns, cinematic lighting, co-branded rollouts. The team fades into the background. The lead disappears. It's all about the brand now, her brand. And that branding is working. Clark's social media metrics are off the charts. Her fan base is multi-generational, crossing over from sports fans to casual culture observers. She's showing up in places no WNBA player has reached before. And Nike wants more of that. They're not just chasing basketball fans. They're building a cultural presence. LeBron James went through a similar transition, from rookie phenom to cultural fixture. But he had the NBA's full infrastructure supporting him. Clark is rising while the WNBA is still scaling. That contrast makes her trajectory more volatile. She's a star whose orbit might outpace the system built to house her. Stephen A.'s final warning was this: the league can't afford to lose her, but also can't afford to be seen as favoring her too much. That tightrope walk might define the next chapter of women's basketball. Clark's success could usher in a new era, or it could fracture the one that exists now. She's not just a player anymore. She's a market force, a global brand, a walking tension point between opportunity and risk. If you're watching this unfold in real time, let us know your take. Do you think the league will adapt or crack under the pressure? Drop your thoughts below. Hit that like button if you're keeping up with the chaos, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss what happens next. The tension isn't just showing up in commentary. It's showing up on the court. Clark has already taken some hard fouls and questionable contact in games. moments that fans and analysts have pointed out as potential statements from veteran players. Whether it's intentional or not, the message feels loud. Welcome to the league, but don't expect a red carpet. Stephen A. brought this up too, saying the league might subtly start pushing back, not through press releases, but through whistles, through contact, through minutes and matchups. In his words, the WNBA knows it can't control Nike, but it might try to control Caitlin through gameplay. That's the unspoken battleground now. Protecting the league's image while trying not to look like it's limiting its brightest star. Kathy Engelbert, the WNBA commissioner, has stayed mostly diplomatic in public. But even she can't ignore what's happening. The league is benefiting from Clark's rise in every major metric, attendance, viewership, engagement. But it's also losing some narrative control. This isn't a partnership. It's a power imbalance. Clark's brand is moving faster than the league's infrastructure can handle. And that's not a knock on the league. It's just reality. When one player's market value outpaces an entire system, friction is inevitable. Engelbert has to walk a fine line, publicly supporting Clark while privately trying to maintain structure in a league that's never seen anything like this. Clark herself has been cautious in how she navigates the spotlight. She praises her teammates. She gives credit to the league's veterans. She stays media-savvy, rarely stepping into the middle of controversy. But no matter how humble she plays it, the scale of her branding tells a different story. She's already had more national exposure than most players get in their entire careers. And it's not slowing down. Every interview, every camera cut to the bench, every mention on mainstream sports media, it adds to her orbit. She's becoming the league's gravitational center, whether she wants that or not. Smith emphasized that this isn't just about celebrity. It's about infrastructure. He pointed out how Nike's backing has given Clark a platform that the WNBA can't match. He wasn't blaming the league. He was acknowledging the structural imbalance. When a corporate juggernaut like Nike chooses a single player as their investment, the ripple effect can destabilize everything else. Smith has seen this before in boxing, in the NBA, even in golf. When one person becomes a draw, the ecosystem changes. Media coverage shifts. Contract negotiations shift. Team dynamics shift. He warned that Clark's rise might pull the WNBA into a model it's not built for, a star-first model where league unity takes a backseat to personal brand management. And make no mistake, Nike isn't interested in slow growth. They're building a narrative arc. This deal isn't about stats or highlights. It's about identity. They position Clark as a face for more than basketball. She's aspirational, accessible, marketable, and if you look at the rollout, every image is curated. There's a consistent aesthetic, cool tones, high contrast, minimal team colors. It's all Clark. That's not accidental. That's Nike telling the public, this isn't a league story. It's a lifestyle story. And that framing pushes the WNBA further into the background every time her name trends. Not every player is happy about it. Off-record conversations have started to make their way into public discourse. Some players feel overlooked. Some feel used. They help build a league. And now they're watching a new face become the brand overnight. The racial dynamic only intensifies the feelings. A white player from Iowa is getting corporate love that black players from bigger markets never received. It's a tough conversation, but it's real. It's not about Clark being undeserving. It's about what her rise reveals about how the system rewards certain players and why. Nike's investment is changing conversation, not just about basketball, but about who gets to be a star in women's sports and how those stars are chosen. Clark, to her credit, doesn't dodge these moments. She stays composed in press conferences. She answers tough questions without getting defensive, but her ability to stay above the fray also highlights how different her position is. She has the privilege of not needing to respond to everything. That's the power of a brand built outside the league. It gives her freedom that other players don't have. She doesn't need to chase attention. It's already built into the campaign. When you're backed by Nike, the spotlight isn't just on you. It follows you everywhere. Every press conference becomes a platform. Every quote becomes a headline. It's a different kind of career. one that operates on its own schedule, with its own. The upcoming launch of her signature shoe is the next chapter in this story. Nike has set the clock ticking, and the market is already responding. Sneaker blogs, sports analysts, lifestyle influencers, they're all watching. Clark hasn't even announced the final design yet, and resale speculation has already started. This is the kind of hype you don't see in women's sports. This is what happens when branding, storytelling, and celebrity collide, and it's what makes Clark different. She's not just an athlete. She's a cultural asset, and that asset is owned, promoted, and distributed by Nike, not the. LeBron James paved the way for this kind of athlete branding. His early Nike partnership laid the blueprint for turning players into empires, but he did that inside a league built for superstardom. The NBA was ready for LeBron. The WNBA right now is still catching up. Clark is forcing the league into the future, whether it's ready or not. Her influence is so outsized at every decision, on and off the court, feels political. Should she get more media time? Should the officiating change? Should she be reined in to protect parity? These aren't just basketball questions. They're business questions. They're brand questions. The last time an athlete had this kind of pre-release sneaker buzz was Michael Jordan. The original Air Jordans didn't just sell shoes. They reshaped sports marketing. They made sneakers cultural statements. Nike's playbook hasn't changed. They see Clark as the next icon, not the next WNBA star. The next Jordan. That vision requires sacrifice, league hierarchy, team branding, traditional marketing. All of it becomes secondary. That's the cost of chasing cultural dominance. Nike is willing to pay it. The question is whether the WNBA is willing to let them. The league is at a crossroads. Support Clark too much and risk alienating the veterans who laid the groundwork. Support her too little and risk losing the biggest growth engine in league history. There's no easy answer, but the consequences of getting it wrong are massive. Stephen A. Smith's voice cracked with intensity when he called it the defining moment for the WNBA, not just because of the numbers. The $150 million for a single endorsement would redefine what's possible in women's sports, but because of what it exposes, a league trying to hold its center, while one of its own outgrows the entire system. His argument wasn't that Clark is too big for the league. It's that the league wasn't ready to absorb her scale. She's a once-in-a-generation lightning rod. She sells out arenas. She drives media narratives. She gets casual fans to care. But she also stretches the league's structure thin. Its revenue-sharing models, its marketing control, its internal politics. On the court, the response has been physical. Clark has already taken several aggressive hits that fans believe cross the line from defense into something else. You can see it, arms wrapped around her waist, elbows digging in, full body blocks that don't always get called. It's not subtle anymore. Players are sending a message. She may be Nike's superstar, but on this floor, she's just another rookie. Whether it's hard defense or hard feelings, Clark has become the symbol of a deeper resentment, one that isn't entirely about her. But everything Clark is new to the league, yet carries the weight of its future in every headline. She didn't ask to be the face of the WNBA, but that's where she's been placed, by corporations, by the media, and by fans hungry for a hero. That pressure isn't just intense. It's isolating. Veteran players had to grind for attention, often for years, before the spotlight found them. Clark skipped that line. Not because of luck, but because of the perfect storm, generational talent, viral moments, and a company like Nike ready to place $1 billion bet. The optics of that leap? Complicated, especially in a league still struggling with racial equity and underrepresentation. Commissioner Kathy Engelbert has maintained a diplomatic front. She credits Clark for raising the league's profile. She emphasizes collaboration. But behind the scenes, it's clear that balancing Clark's rise with league cohesion is becoming more difficult. Engelbert's challenge isn't just keeping the league growing. It's making sure it doesn't fracture. If players start to believe the league bends around one star, trust erodes. And without trust, the locker rooms get tense, the media narratives turn skeptical, and the unity that women's basketball fought so hard for starts to fray. Meanwhile, Nike's campaign continues to grow louder, cleaner, more dominant. Every ad places Clark in the center frame. Not a team logo in sight, not a league slogan, just a CC mark, sharp and unmistakable. It's a brand within a brand, self-contained and self-sustaining. The message is unavoidable. Caitlin Clark isn't just a player under the WNBA banner. She is her own banner, one that can float above the league, beside it, or completely outside of it. And the more this brand takes shape, the harder it becomes to reconcile it with the league's old model of shared spotlight and collective storytelling. Clark, for her part, continues to speak with poise. She downplays the drama. She talks about team goals. But when you watch her body language, the fatigue is there. She's asked to answer for dynamics she didn't create, to stand in the middle of conversations that started long before she arrived. She never demanded the spotlight. But now that it's here, she doesn't flinch either. That composure is part of why Nike trusts her with the weight of a generational campaign. She represents more than just basketball potential. She represents brand stability, cross-market reach, and cultural appeal. Even in the face of backlash, she stays the course. But staying the course doesn't stop the whispers. Every time Clark gets a favorable whistle, social media lights up. Every time she appears in a league promo over a veteran star, the resentment simmers. These moments feed a growing perception, fair or not, that Clark gets a different rule book. And the league feels it. The officials feel it. The players definitely feel it. Every time Clark is fouled, fans are waiting to see if the call protects her. Every time she's left off an all-star ballot or post-game interview, critics accuse the league of overcorrecting. There's no neutral ground anymore. Every choice is read as favoritism or punishment. The visuals tell the story. Clark isn't photographed like her peers. Her photos are more polished, more staged, more global. She's not just in arenas. She's in billboard-ready setups. From lighting to framing, every shot says, icon, not rookie. This isn't an accident. Nike and their agencies know how to create legends. They've done it before. Clark is being framed as something bigger than basketball. And that framing distances her from the rest of the league, whether intentionally or not. The branding builds her up, and by contrast, it dims everyone around her. Michael Jordan didn't mean to disrupt the NBA's ecosystem either. But when his brand took off, it rewrote the rules of what athletes could be. His shoes made more money than some franchises. His face sold products before his name ever appeared in a contract clause. And once that model was proven, the old balance of power never returned. Clark is standing at that same threshold. Her shoe line hasn't even launched yet, but the early signs mirror the Jordan trajectory. Nike isn't interested in making a good sneaker. They want to make history. The next cultural symbol. The next billion-dollar silhouette. And they've chosen Clark as the face of that. Clark's interviews are studied now. Every phrase analyzed, every gesture clipped into content. She knows what's at stake. Brand partnerships, fan perception, team trust. Her tone is carefully balanced, grateful but focused, proud but humble. It's a high-wire act. And yet, even with that care, she can't control the bigger narrative. She's both the catalyst and the scapegoat. When things go well, she's celebrated. When the league feels unstable, she's scrutinized. That's the duality of being a brand-first athlete in a team-first sport. Clark may be the first in the WNBA to reach this level of solo power, but she won't be the last. And that's the true impact of this Nike deal. It opens a new chapter, not just for her, but for every player who comes after. The WNBA is changing fast. And Caitlin Clark is at the heart of that transformation, whether anyone's ready or not. This isn't just a deal, it's a shift in power. When one player's brand begins to rival the league she plays in, every old rule gets tested. The question now isn't whether Clark deserves a spotlight. It's whether the league can keep up with the pace she's setting. There's no going back. Nike's all in. The fans are locked in. And the game? It's being rewritten in real time. If you're watching this unfold and have thoughts about what this means for the future of women's basketball, hit that like button, share your take in the comments, and subscribe so you're always in the loop. This story isn't even close to over.